Hey guys, I'm going to do a video on making a circle cutter, but before I begin, just want to cover one subject. So one of the issues I've had, or a lot of comments I get from viewers, are that my audio quality on my videos is pretty bad, and I agree. I'm just using an iPhone, and I've just been a 5S, and it works pretty good. But the problem is when I move away or close to the camera, it changes the audio. So I decided to go out and break the bank. I spent like $15 or $20 on a microphone. So I've got this wired microphone. Acts like kind of a leash, so I'm not sure I'm a big fan of it, but I'm going to give it a shot, see if it helps out. So in case you're interested, again, I don't know how good this is going to be. If you like it or think it's good, I'll let you decide. But anyway, what I use, it's a Movo. It's an LV1. It works on my iPhone. It works on supposedly all smartphones and cameras. So if you want to try it, go ahead. So anyway, enough of that. So let's get on to the project. So this circle cutter I'm making is, I want to give credit to the gentleman who, I watched another YouTube video of a gentleman who did something very similar to this. I can't remember his name right now, but I will definitely put it in the credits because he's due the credit for that, because again, most of the real ingenious ideas are his, not mine. So he did things a little differently, and I wanted to kind of highlight those changes. So what I did is he used basically metal T-track for where you can see these slots that are in here. So he basically put a 3/4 inch dado in into this piece of plywood, and then installed these metal T-slots, which works well. I didn't have any T-slots, and I didn't really want to spend the money on them, and I thought I could do it without it. So what I did is I just bought a router bit with a T-slot router, and I also have a 3/8 inch straight bit, which I've had. So the way this works is kind of a two-step process. I don't know if you haven't used one of these. So the way it works is you're basically going to need to route, and this is a 3/8 inch straight. You're going to route with this one, route the depth that you want to go. And then you're going to take this guy and you're going to route out the actual slot. Since there is no, you can't, I know it's hard to see, but there's no cutter on the bottom of this side of the shank. So it really only cuts the slot side. So you can't just set this down and make a one pass cut. And you probably wouldn't want to anyway if you could, because it would take a lot of material out. So in my process is, let me take this out, and I'll kind of show you this a little bit more detail. So in my process, first, and again, I just ran it through the router once, set the depth, ran it through with the straight, and then I ran put it down to the depth I wanted the T at, and ran it through again. I actually ran it a couple times, because what I did is this 3/8 is a little bit wider than the smaller shank on here. So there's a little wiggle room, so I wanted to make the slot the T a little wider. So I just basically adjusted just a little bit to the left and right on my router table, and I just made the slot just a little heavier. So that's the T-slots. So this is just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. So the size you need, it depends what kind of hole that you want. Well, it also depends on your table a little bit. I'll touch on that in a minute. So mine is about just under 24 inches square. 3/4 inch plywood. Actually, this is salvage from my old entertainment center that I ripped apart a year or so ago. If you watch my other video on my bench vise, you'll see I actually used some pieces of that for that too. So I got a lot of use out of that old entertainment center, and it's kind of nice to be able to actually recycle it. So anyway, what I did is, after you've got these slots in here, so basically the thing you want to do, the kind of the key to this is you have to, so this, if I can show you this way, well, let me see, let me ship it around, let me do this way, so it kind of goes with the table. So this is going to set your radius of your cut. So this will go in here. So this sets your radius. So this is your blade over here. You'll set the radius. And then what I ended up doing, the other gentleman had because he had metal T-track, he actually had like a handle on the bottom that you could screw and pull that T-track tight to lock it in. Well, I don't have T-track, so I had to come up with a way to lock this down because you really don't want that thing to be moving. So you may have seen this. So basically my solution was I just use a small toggle clamp so I can set this guy, and with the toggle clamp I can just lock it in. So that locks it really firm and it's not going anywhere. So you can do it, reset your wherever you want it, lock it down. So kind of a slick thing. This also, when I mentioned the fact that your table will depend on how big you can make this, you really got to have this thing sitting out the end of your table. So for me, I've got it on this side, and the reasoning is because I've got my bench dog on the other side of my table, and I don't want that big of a piece. So it has to extend. This piece has to extend beyond the end of your table, which this does. So I haven't put the miter on yet. So basically, what I'll do this, I'll put this in place. I've got this cut to the right size. I'll lay this down, and I'm going to I'll use my fence to just set the right depth. And I'm actually going to set it a little bit deeper, and I'll set it square. Put this in, I'll lay a bead of glue down on it, push this onto the glue, just let it set for a while, then I'll pull it up, and then I'll put some screws into it to hold it in place. So what that does is will allow me to basically just re-square this end off. So I'm going to end up cutting off, I'll probably set it like maybe a 1/4 inch beyond. But then I'll make sure that it's perfectly square with the miter slot. So we'll step through a couple of those pieces as we go. Okay, so I'm getting ready to glue up. I'm going to glue the miter slot in. So I've got, this is way long, so I wanted to leave it long. I'm going to put it down, set it in the slot, and I've got it basically at the same exact height. So I took my hand, ran it through my planer, and I got it almost dead nuts on. So what I've done, so I've got my rip fence set, or my fence set, so that you can see the blade here. It's just set a little bit beyond. So I'm gonna, once I get this all assembled, I'll rerun it back through and it'll square it up based on the miter. So I'm just okay, so I'm getting ready. I'm just going to drill and set some screws. I didn't have the right size screws. I'm going to use, these are only like 5/8 screws. So what I'll do is I'll drill it, I'll countersink it deep and set this in. So okay, so I'm just gonna, I got to clamp down. I'm just gonna trim these off. Okay, so I put it in the slot. She rides, but she's just a little bit too tight. So I'm gonna just take him and just knock off a little bit with some sandpaper. So I'm going to basically trim this off. So I've got it set. So I let it just a little bit long that we can just square it with the actual miter in place. I did run into an issue which I didn't think about. I mean, so the issue is the clamp on the bottom. It's going to bang into this, which is basically going to be okay. I mean, I could just take it off, but it's just as easy. So I don't have to take it off. So what I'll do is I'll just set the blade just a little low, and then I'll raise the blade into it as I push it through. So it's just right at the very end. So okay, so let's give this a try. So what I've done, I've actually just taken a piece of 1x that I had, just found the hole, drilled a hole in the middle. The pin I have is a 3/8 inch diameter pin. I'm actually gonna That's way too big, really. But the good thing is you can just, with this guy, you can just basically replace it. So I'm planning on making another one, and when I find something with a smaller diameter pin, I'll replace it. And also you can set the depth of your pin, because you really don't want your pin poking all the way through this material typically. Maybe you do, but if you don't, you can just get the right size pin to put in here. So this is what I have, so this is what I use for now. So the way it'll work is I've got this thing set so that right now when I'm all the way in, I'm basically 1.5 inches from the blade to the center of this. So that's the smallest diameter hole I'll ever cut. So, or actually that'd be the radius. So a 3-inch diameter hole. If I need to go smaller than that, I'll probably do it some other ways. I could modify it. I can go smaller. I just had to cut this off. So anyway, I'll plan on using this actually as my gauge. Again, since this is easily to replace, and I can have multiples of these of different pin styles, I plan on just putting a gauge on here from the end. That way I can set my diameter by just watching. I'll have a mark on this guy, and I'll just move him in and out to set the diameter. So for demonstration, I'm just going to put it in. I'm not even going to really worry about my diameter. I'm just going to cut this as almost as big as I can get it. So the way you want to do this is so basically it sits on this pin, and this will be your hold down. So for me, again, I'm going to set it so my diameter is just a little bit less than the width of this wood, which is about 5.5. So I'm going to cut them a little bit thin, because this has to be to get a circle. So once I got it set, I just lock it. Now this guy will not move side to side. And I'm going to do is first I'm going to take through. I'll use the hold down. I'm going to hog the majority of the material off. So I'll just spin it, basically spin it 90 degrees, cut it, and just keep going. And then once I get the majority of the material off, then I'm going to set the blade down, and I'm going to sneak up on it. So because you don't want to be, when you're spinning this thing when you get to the end, you're going to find that the blade will start to want to deflect on you. So I found that it's better to just set the blade down, go around and around, and then just kind of keep creeping it up and just go all the way through. So here we go. We'll see how it works. So I can tell this pin, because it wasn't tight, it moved. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move it in just a hair to make sure I get a circle out of this. Fortunately this isn't, let me find. So I just moved it in probably about 50 thousandths. Let's make sure this goes tight. All right, let's go again. So there it goes. You got yourself a round wheel. So my blade is actually getting dull, and I burnt the heck out of this thing. But anyway, and so when I take this, I need to make sure I tighten that, because what happened as I was spinning it, it actually loosened this pin up, and that's why I had to readjust it. So I just set it in enough to just take enough off, so I'd actually get around. So it's pretty cool. So there you have it. So if you have any questions on this, let me know. If you would subscribe to my channel, I'd appreciate it. And good luck if you give it a shot. Okay, so just I thought I was going to clean these up. So these are, again, they kind of got the burn on the edge. So I've sanded these down. So all I did is I just put a bolt, 3/8 inch bolt through here, chucked it up, and I can spin it, and then I can sand it off. So I'm just going to sand it down, round it over, make a nice round wheel. Basically, I did 2 of these, one of smaller diameter. I ended up just drilling it through because I was going to use them as wheels. So I'm going to make some more of these, and I'll be making some toys out of these. So anyway, that's it.